Welcome back to another episode of Out of Touch. John Alden, Dustin Schutte back with us, Mitchell Page, for another fun, extravagant evening of podcast recording. Got a few fun things we want to talk about tonight, and I'm excited. I'm excited for one thing in particular. We'll get into that here in a little bit. I haven't told Dustin or Mitchell what that thing is, so we'll see what their take is on some of these things we're going to talk about. But welcome in. It is Wednesday, November 1st, officially 2 months until the end of the year. I'm going to start this episode with a little bit of, I don't want to call it an announcement because that's not really what it is, but I've got a goal, guys, that I want to set. And I'm very grateful for all the people who have been listening to the first few episodes of the podcast so far. I've heard a lot of good things from friends, family, and hopefully you guys keep checking this out as we keep doing these. We're going to do these every week until we get sick of it, which is hopefully never. But one thing that I want to do, I want to do a little subscriber push, which everybody loves that, right? One thing, hopefully people will be on board with this. And I know I've mentioned before, we've aspired to want to maybe dabble in doing a live stream. So if we can get to 100 subscribers on YouTube by the end of 2023, which is exactly 2 months from now, then our first episode of 2024 will be a live stream episode. And we'll figure out what that looks like if we get to that point. But just want to encourage those of you who may listen and haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, go ahead and do that. It's very easy. Just hit the button. You don't have to pay anything. You don't have to do anything else after that ever again. All you got to do is hit that red subscribe button, and you're officially part of the Out of Touch fan club, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, Dustin, you've been busy. We missed you last week. What's been going on?
I know. I got a chance to listen to the show without me, and I think it sounds better. You guys did awesome. I'm not holding up the show or anything, but I was in Lincoln for the Purdue-Nebraska game last week. Went to Omaha. So that was my first time out in Nebraska, so I crossed another state off the map.
Is Nebraska anything but football and cornfields?
Well, we drove through like the cities of like Omaha and Lincoln, so obviously there's a lot of things to do, and it's just like they're typical big cities. Like it was a really cool place. So if you haven't been to Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, I would recommend going because it's really cool. That was one of the best times I've had, like tailgating, going to a football game, even though for me, obviously going as a Purdue fan, it wasn't the best result. They played terribly for about 3.5 quarters, but it was still a lot of fun. So it was cool to get that experience. People talk about it all the time. Like those fans are diehard. So it was just really fun. It was really fun all the way around.
And I saw you ended up dressing up as Indiana Jones, as you initially suggested, for Halloween.
Yes, I did. So I was Indiana Jones. Abby went as Grapes. So it was a good 1-2 combination. One of my friends sent me an image. He knew I was Indiana Jones. He's also a big Indiana Jones fan. And he's like, if I had known what you were going for, I would have guessed you went as this. And he sent me a picture of Jack Hanna. You guys know who Jack Hanna is, like the animal dude?
Yeah.
He used to have yeah, there you go. Pull up the comparison.
Okay, yeah. So, but here's the thing. Jack Hanna, I didn't realize how old this dude was. Maybe like a younger Jack Hanna.
Well, I mean, I'm not like 75, 80, so I would hope it would be a younger Jack Hanna.
Maybe they just meant you were going for that aesthetic, right?
That is kind of accurate, unfortunately. But everybody knew I was Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it's just a look into the future a little bit, I guess.
And I guess so. Do you guys ever have that, like, there's so much stuff that you did over, like, I did a lot of stuff from last Thursday until Monday. And I like tried to get it all out in one sentence, and that just didn't work at all. So I apologize for fumbling basically the entire weekend.
No, that's okay. I do the same thing sometimes. Mitchell, obviously, with us as well. Honestly, I'm sure he's very excited that he hasn't had to say a word for these first 5 minutes because he had a trip to the dentist office today. He had to get, was it 1 or 2 fillings?
A couple
different fillings. And we almost didn't record this podcast today just because up until about, I guess, maybe an hour ago, maybe even less than that, he wasn't feeling up to record. He said his face was way too numb and he couldn't do it.
Yeah, we're still kind of, if you're watching on YouTube, you can kind of see it. I don't really have the same pop because my face half of it doesn't work. I need to stop eating so much candy and start flossing better per the very nice lady at the dentist's office.
I tell you what, having to go to the dentist during the month of October when you're literally, it's impossible to avoid being around candy unless you just never go to the grocery store. That's a recipe for disaster, I feel like.
Yeah. Laura, my wife, brought them a bag of candy as like, thanks for being nice, which is pretty backwards, but they appreciated it. It was a nice gesture.
Did they ask if it was sugar-free?
No, and they didn't offer any to me as I was back there getting my teeth drilled into.
Now, was that your first filling?
No, absolutely not. I'm a sweet kid.
I had my first filling, I guess it was about a year ago. And it was one of those, once I realized that I had a cavity and that I was going to have to get it filled, I was like, wow, I've never experienced this. I don't really know what I'm walking into. And when you're a kid and you're afraid of having a cavity, I feel like it's a little different. But whenever they walked me into the little, I don't even know what kind of room it is, but it's separate from the regular part where they clean your teeth and that kind of stuff. And when they started, once they numbed me, I was like, I knew that was part of the process. And it was one of my back, I think it was one of the top back ones or something like that. But once they started drilling, it was one of those, I had one of those moments where I realized, I was like, if they had numbed, if they wouldn't have put the Novocaine or whatever they call it in me, I feel like the amount of vibration and pressure that I was feeling in my mouth, I feel like if there was pain, it would have felt like they were murdering me. And maybe I'm being dramatic, but that's what it feels like whenever that jackhammer drill type thing is shaking literally the entirety of your face.
Yeah, I have 2 thoughts. One, the first one, I got cavities early and often. So the worst thing that happened to me was getting cavities early and often because then I found out that it didn't hurt. And I was like, more chocolate for me. But I also, have you guys gotten your wisdom teeth out?
No, that's another thing I'm afraid of. I have all 4 of mine, but they've never been in a position where they've had to be removed yet.
Yeah, this goes back to how cheap I am. It was like $300 less to not get put under. So I just had local anesthesia while they were just yanking my teeth out.
Oh my gosh.
That was
that was horrible.
Ago. It wasn't as bad as you'd think. It was interesting to see the amount of effort that was required. Like they were like foot on my chest, yanking them out. It was pretty. That was, you want to talk about like a wood shop or carpentry. Fillings are nothing compared to what they were doing.
I remember watching a movie, I think it was in college, and I want to say it was Europa. Anyway, the title of the movie is irrelevant, but it was basically during like World War II. And this guy I think he had a tooth infection and he went to the dentist and had to get it pulled out. And they didn't numb anything back then. So it was basically the image of this dentist just putting the guy in a headlock, gripping onto the tooth, and then yanking it as hard as he could multiple times until the tooth came out. And I'm like, thank God I was not born back then because I would not have survived.
Yeah, it just sounds like a weird form of torture.
Yeah, hot start to this podcast.
Hey, it is what it is, though, right? The dentist, I feel like a lot of people, and maybe, I don't really know what to say, like, it's the least favorite doctor that you have to visit on a regular basis because that just varies. Probably depending on what gender you are as well and which specific doctors that you may have to go to specifically. But dentist feels like it's one of those things that, for the most part, humanity doesn't enjoy. I don't really have a problem with it, but again, I've never experienced a lot of the horrors. Like again, if I ever have to do the wisdom teeth, and I know that's more of like going to an oral surgeon when it's all said and done, but that's one of those things where I don't think I'd be on board with that.
Yeah, the dentist.
So-
Dentist.
I'm gonna cut you off because this is what I have to
Yeah.
say. The dentist is like the only doctor that is never satisfied with what you're doing. Like you go in there, you could floss twice a day, brush 3 times, and they're still gonna tell you, this is not even close.
Well, here's the other thing about that too. Like, and maybe I'm in the minority, but I feel like nobody flosses regularly.
Not well enough. The way that
And I feel like nobody
today,
brushes their teeth no more than twice a day at the most.
No, this lady was telling me you gotta like lasso each tooth, full 360 around it. I'm like, lady, I don't know if you think I'm Indiana Jones. I'm not lassoing my teeth. Things like that. I wish I could be a little more aggressive, but like my face doesn't work. Not aggressive,
okay.
but I feel like usually I'm a lot more upbeat, positivity. Today,
I just feel stiff in the face.
Yeah,
The-
I feel like I've had emotion and I've watched my face have no emotion. Like that right there. I was trying to laugh and I just have a straight face.
I'd love to see something be so funny to where you just can't help it. And like, not that it hurts, but I want to see what like peak laughter looks like for you right now at this moment.
Yeah, you'll get
That's
like
what-
positive eyes, happy eyes, and just a dead face.
It's like those people that can laugh without changing their facial expression. Have you seen
Yeah.
people that can actually like full out laugh, but they just have a straight face while doing it? I think that would be. So we can at least see that you're cracking a smile, though, Mitchell. So
Yeah,
that's
I'm
good.
trying to show my teeth. That's how you know I'm smiling.
I love how, depending on what you say too, you can hear.
There's
that
a little bit
you're-
of a lisp sometimes.
Not as bad as what you just did, but yeah, maybe a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, do you see that?
I-
That's like almost a pulled tooth.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Look
We're
at
getting
you go. I have to say that the dentist is my favorite doctor because a good friend of the show and perhaps somebody that calls in frequently is a dentist.
Oh, really? I wonder who
I
that
bet we
could
hear
be.
from him later.
Huh?
I bet we hear from him later.
Maybe we'll hear from him
There's a-
later. Yeah, maybe we'll
there's a
refer to
chance.
him as doctor at this point.
Dr. ND Hater.
Yeah, there we go. Spoiler alert. Indie Hater called us again. We did get more than Indie Hater. And I don't mind him calling every week. I'm just glad we're getting other people on top of
he's-
having Indie Hater with us.
He's number 1 so far.
Well, he says he's Indie Hater 1. And we'll get to calls here in
Consistency
a bit.
is key.
I like him.
That's right, yeah. And he clearly is enjoying it. And Indie Hater, we're glad to have you. One other thing, with it being November 1st, are you all a Christmas begins at November 1st kind of people, or do you like to wait a little bit for that kind of thing?
I guess I'm going.
Yeah.
I think
Dustin
I'm
was
taking
nodding
because
his head. He was very enthusiastic, and
Vigorously.
excited to answer that one. Yeah.
Yes. So I am like, you only get the idea to me of like putting up Christmas decorations for 25 days.
It does seem
I'm
like a
putting-
waste of time. I honestly agree with them.
If I am putting up, it's got to be at least like mid-November. For me, if I'm putting up decorations, I'm going November 1st because I'm not getting all that stuff out for not even a month. Ridiculous. I'm going to stretch that puppy out for 2 months. I'm going from November 1st until like January 2nd. Then everything's coming down. Now, the one thing I'll say is a lot of people ask about Christmas music. I don't get into the jingles, but like the Christmas jazz music that's very relaxing. That's what you
get
can
down
start-
with that too.
That's what you can start playing on November 1st.
I'm I'm just not a holidays guy. I need to get more festive. Yeah.
Maybe it's
but-
because you're in North Carolina and like your holiday season isn't like a typical, and not that it's super typical up in Kentucky in terms of like weather is what I'm getting at. So maybe it doesn't feel like the holidays as much whenever you live where you live.
Yeah, but even when I was in Indiana, like I don't know. It just never really. I feel like if I was ever going to be a Christmas person, it would have been when we played in the Pinstripe Bowl. That game was after, like the day after Christmas. So we spent the whole week in New York doing the whole Times Square with the big Christmas tree and the Christmas lights and all that. And it still just didn't do it for me for whatever reason.
Huh. Yeah, some people, I mean, yeah, I get it. I guess I kind of get it. I've always enjoyed it. It's always felt like a cozy time of year. It feels like a lot of things. And this is a weird, I don't even know if this will make sense, but it's a busy time of year for me in terms of work because I work in, sports media and that kind of stuff, but it's also a very slow, like laid back. Like I feel like more people are just in a good mood, I guess is what I'm getting at. More people are upbeat, if that makes sense, I guess. And it probably depends on who you're around and the environment that you're in, that kind of stuff.
It snowed up near y'all today, huh?
Not quite. So this morning it was the temperatures were in the 20s, which is pretty insane. My wife had to defrost her vehicle on the way before she went into work, which was pretty early. I mean, I don't know what the usual time of year for the first freeze is, but this seems pretty early, I feel like.
We had snow in Indianapolis, snow flurries, and I am not happy about it.
Did you all, now when you were at the Nebraska-Purdue game, didn't you all have pretty chilly weather compared to, where we're at?
Yeah, it was I think it was like in the 40s at kickoff, and I think it dropped down to like 35 maybe. I don't remember the exact temperature, but the cold, this is going to sound very Midwestern dad of me. The cold isn't the problem. It was so windy. And when that wind's just constant,
people say it's not the heat, it's the humidity.
It's the humidity, exactly. So this is the opposite of that. Like, I can deal with cold, but when it's cold and then it's just gusting and it's very windy, then that's when I get shivering. So there was a lot of shivering that game, and it just got colder and colder. And then on the walk back out of the stadium, we were like walking directly into the wind. So
and then it kind of sucks when your team's, getting their ass beat. Which, I mean, I guess, I don't know. What was the final score of that game?
31-14. But, I mean, it was an ass beating.
Yeah.
I didn't care. I was having fun with everybody I was with. I got a tailgate. I got to drink beer at a football game. I was happy as a clam. Happy as a clam.
I don't feel like you really ride or die, Dustin. Maybe your job probably prevents you from that. But, like, I couldn't experience a game like that with the opposing, like, let's hypothetically say Laura cheered for Purdue. If I was going to the bucket game, Laura would not come with me. Like, you need to go to someone else.
See, my wife she grew up in a family full of Kentucky fans, and she herself, I would say, is a Kentucky fan. And not to the extent it used to be, but that kind of gets explained here in a second. So we've been together for quite a while, even before we're married. She had to learn quickly, like, there is at least some sort of rivalry with Indiana and Kentucky. And anytime they faced off, they faced each other in basketball a couple of times in the beginning of our relationship. And there was bashing of heads a little bit. But what she learned from that is, like, she's got to jump ship. She's got to either be casual Kentucky or got to be an Indiana fan. And she's adopted the Hoosier mantra. If I
Are you serious?
She's not diehard like me. It's not the same kind of thing. It's one of those things, I guess, when you get married, you compromise on certain things. And she's just learned, like, me being an Indiana fan is just part of who I am. And if she's going to live with it, she's got to be a part of it,
So what I would say to that is, when I grew up, the reason I fell in love with college football is because when I grew up, we had tickets to Purdue games during, like, the Drew Brees era, obviously, when they went to the Rose Bowl and they were really good and stuff. So at one point, I was kind of like a ride or die fan. And then when I did my job at Saturday Tradition, you have to kind of put that on the sideline. Like, people don't believe what I would say, but I didn't care about the result. You're working so fast. There's so much information, and you have to try to be professional that I legitimately didn't care about the result. And so some of that's trickled over. Some of it is, like, obviously Abby's a huge Nebraska fan. So I've kind of, like John said with his wife, I've kind of adopted Nebraska as a second team now. Right. So, and I went into that game with, like, if Purdue was like 5-2, then maybe I'm a little bit more.
It's different. There's more to play for in that scenario.
when I go to that game and they're 2-5 and can't find a functioning offense, then I have no expectation going into that game. So I'm just there to have I just went in with the mindset I was going to have a good time. Now,
You're just very level-headed about it.
Right. And so there's a lot of factors involved there, but come basketball season is when I will be a lunatic. So just
that's fair.
Well, there you go. So, I can go in two directions right now. Do I want to jump into calls, or do I want to get into the thing that I haven't told Dustin or Mitchell about?
I think we should end the show with calls.
And I was kind of thinking the same thing. That's where my mind was heading to. So actually, even before the surprise, I've got one more thing. I meant to hit on this last week, Mitchell, because I said in the previous episode that I was going to pull something to prove that I had said in regards to the sports gambling. I said that I can't. What did you say that I said, Mitchell? First of all,
I don't remember what you said, but I predicted that you would be addicted, and it sounds like that hasn't happened.
I believe that the claim that I said that I would potentially put in more of my own money. No. What was it? I can't see. It's been too long. I can't remember what the claim. I have the evidence in front of me, but I can't remember what I initially said anymore.
I'm pretty sure I can be the moderator here in that I think what was said or what was argued was that we thought John said he would never put any of his own money into the sports gambling app.
And I said I would.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I'm going to be addicted or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I pulled the audio that answers the question. I'll go ahead and let that roll. So once I run out, once I miss enough parlays, I'll probably bet here and there, but I'm not gonna, do it every weekend. I don't think.
I promise you will. It's the most fun thing.
He's like, become an addict with me, John.
No, it is so fun.
Come do
the
this.
Games, they take on new meanings. And
they do.
It's not an addiction, but it's like it just is fun.
So I believe it's the answer that I would put in my own money.
Yeah, that was a little later in the conversation. Your initial
when I was digging through this, I found a couple different ones, but that was the most definitive, outright spoken.
The initial, I think it was just one sentence, and then we convinced you to walk back. What you said was that you were only going to use the house money, and once it was gone, you were never going to put money in again.
Yeah.
To be fair, and here's the thing, I haven't yet. I've wanted to, but I'm disciplined enough to where I'm waiting for either to do a cash rewards thing, withdraw that from credit card stuff and use that money. Use disposable income, that kind of stuff on those kinds of things. That seems like a smart way to go about doing that. So I've missed out. I really wanted to put money on that Iowa under with Minnesota that ended up hitting. I'm disappointed I didn't get in on that action last week or whenever that was.
What about the Northwestern under? Because that one's at 20 or open at 29
this week, isn't it? Yeah, that one's this week. But here's the thing: Northwestern's weird, and I don't want to get too far into the sports room. I know we've talked a lot about football, but Northwestern against Maryland last week. I don't know. They're a weird team. I don't know how to feel about Northwestern right now.
They are a weird team, but did you see the stat? Or I don't know that you can call it a stat, but basically that 29.5 point under is basically whether or not you think Northwestern and Iowa in a football game can combine to score more points than were scored in the highest scoring baseball game at Wrigley Field this season, because the Cubs scored 20 and the Reds scored 9, so they had 29 points in that game. Or 29 runs, I mean.
Yeah, 29 points, baseball. I wonder where they got the term runs as their point system in baseball. That's maybe a conversation for another day. Unless you know the answer to that.
You run to the bases?
Yeah, but you also run for a touchdown. You run to score a basket. You run to kick a goal in soccer.
That's true. I don't know.
You don't run to score a goal in hockey, so you couldn't do that. But
you skate.
You skate. But they're not called skates, are they, when they score points?
Very good, John. They're not called skates.
Oh, man. All right. Let's move on. So I'm stealing this content. I saw this on not a different podcast when I was watching something else on YouTube recently, and I just wanted to share and just get your guys' reaction. So this is ridiculous TV shows that you wouldn't believe actually aired. And I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to go through some of the highlights and describe to you what the show was like. So the first one, Shattered, a competition where contestants were challenged to stay awake for 7 days straight to win $100,000. Does that even sound real to you?
That can kill you, I thought.
That's what I'm saying. Like, is that even biologically possible?
Oh, I'm sure it is. Wasn't there? I don't know if 7 days is the max, but there's definitely like, what's the time limit there? How long can you? I know there's a max because some guy like there have been people who have died playing video games because they refuse to go to sleep.
Wow.
That'd be me.
So apparently a lot of the contestants in the show ended up hallucinating, and one guy even believed he was the Australian Prime Minister at some point. And these shows, a lot of these aren't currently airing. This was back in 2004, but it's still just ridiculous to me. I can't stay up. I feel like back in the day, I'd be like, I can do this. But if I accidentally, and when I say accidentally, if I just get past the point at night where I don't fall asleep and I, am awake for 24 plus hours, that's enough for me to feel out of my element.
Yeah. So there's no definitive answer as to how long you can stay awake without dying. But back in the 60s, Randy Gardner, a high school student, set the world record for the longest time without sleep for a science project, 11 days or 264 hours.
I'd like to know what that dude experienced during that time, just mentally. That just sounds insane.
I've never done mushrooms, but I would assume something similar to mushrooms.
Maybe. All right, moving forward. Here's the next one. Release the Hounds was a game show where contestants were literally chased by dogs for cash prizes.
Dude, people do anything for money.
The
contestants got chased by dogs, and if they got caught, they lose their money. That's the entire premise. There's nothing more to it than that. This is not about dogs, but do you guys watch game shows at all? I mean, the typical ones, like if I see Family Feud on or The Price is Right, that kind of stuff.
So I'm not a game show person at all, but I was at my buddy's house and I'll never remember what it was called, but the plot of it is like there's two people and at the very beginning they choose, like, they answer these 7 questions or whatever it is. And based on whether they get the questions right or not, the ball, like it's this big, you know how the drop down balls and they got all the pegs, like peggle, and it drops down. So they answer the questions, and then one person goes around to the back and doesn't watch the game. They have no idea where the balls go. And in the bottom, there's all these bins that have like $1 all the way up to $1 million. And if they get the questions right, it's a green ball, and that adds to your total. If they get the questions wrong, it's a red ball, and that takes away from your total. So you could, like, for however many drops there are, you could accumulate $999,000. You get one red ball that drops in the million, and you go all the way back to zero. So all this is happening while the other person is behind the closed door or whatever. And at the end of the show, whatever your amount is what your amount is. The person behind doesn't know. All they know is the questions. They don't know if they got them right or wrong. They know in their mind, like, do I think I got any of them right? And then the banker essentially gives them a guaranteed option, money. And the person,
like Deal or No Deal.
It's similar, but then the person behind that has no idea what was happening on the front, on the stage where the balls dropped, has to choose, do you want the guaranteed money that's offered to you, or do you want to take the chance and take whatever money was on the board? So if you got $1 million 4 times, it could be $4 million.
But they have no idea. They just have to guess.
They have no idea. And I'm not a game show person, but this show, if you eliminate kind of some of the fluff of them trying to tell the story of whatever and just watch the game, it's a pretty electric game. Some of the game shows they have now are pretty cool.
That is wild.
Yeah. I
hate
watching
that the guy just literally has no idea, though. I hate that there's no skill to it whatsoever.
He has no clue. It could, I mean, if it was like a father-son even, it could end that relationship immediately. Like, you could watch a relationship just wither away on the stage. We had $4 million and you took 100,000. Yeah, that would be awesome.
It does make you wonder if that crap is kind of staged in a sense, but who knows? I don't know. Game shows, I think, are more real than reality shows.
I don't know. These are pretty genuine reactions that I saw.
Have you ever seen, like, I don't know, there was a documentary or something for Family Feud, and like families would go on that show and husbands and wives would get like there were divorces that happened because of that show. Like there was, I don't know if it was a documentary or just like a 60-minute special or something, and it was a long time ago, but it was like wild how torn apart some families got based on how things went on that show.
That's insane.
That's so good.
All right, moving on. No, this is, I don't mind when we veer off into other territory. All right, next up, Game of Clones. Great name, obviously, play off of Game of Thrones. The contestant has to choose which version of their dream person to date. And it's if you don't have a visual of it, it's kind of confusing. But the photo I'm looking at, it's like 8 women, and they're all wearing the same dress. They all have the same hair color. They all look like the same person, but they're not. I don't know. It's a little weird. It doesn't sound. None of these sound real, but they just sound like who comes up with this kind of stuff, kind of thing.
I'm trying to figure. So what's the point? Like, how do you win?
So the people are put together with their dream partner, and then they have to eliminate the prospective clones until they're left with one to date. And again, they're not actual clones. There's just a bunch of people who look like each other. If that makes sense.
So
is one
this is like,
and like you won, you didn't die.
Like
what? Like
it's just a weird dating show concept.
So this is a dating game. So somebody like fills out a dating profile, like prefers.
Yeah, like they find all the characteristics of what they want, and they find a certain amount of people who match up with those characteristics, and they bring all of them in, and then you eliminate them. So I guess it's like The Bachelor, but more specific.
Yeah, this sounds like The Bachelor. Now, do they get to ask questions? Like, do we know anything about these personalities or their history, or what do we know?
I'm sure
like,
you get a chance to meet them. I'm sure you get a chance to meet them. Again, I've never seen the show. It just sounded somewhat interesting that this is an actual concept. All right. This is an interesting one. Sex Box. The ideal show for anyone who's ever wanted to have sex on TV and then talk about it right after. So here's what happens. Couples talk us through the sex they've been wanting to try out for a while. Then they go into the sex box, do their thing, and then come out and have a post-match discussion.
I can tell you there are 0 people I know or have ever interacted with that would want to do that.
No, I don't think anyone would want to do that, but I feel like it would be so funny to hear, like, especially the aftermath.
I don't know, dude. I just think people are weird. If you watch any of these shows, like Laura watches all these, like Love is Blind.
My wife loves those too.
Yeah, people are insane. They'll just go out there and expose it just for the clout.
Oh,
they just want to be on TV. They'll do whatever they have to do. It's crazy.
All right, here's the next one.
Oh, boy.
Who's your daddy? The aim of the game was to put people who were up. Let me restart this. The aim of the game was for people who were put up for adoption to try to correctly guess their biological father out of a lineup for a $100,000 prize.
Nice.
Isn't that insane?
I feel like that's psychological damage. It
does sound like psychological damage.
Like, it makes me think about that guy in Indiana.
What guy in Indiana?
You saw this Netflix documentary that he was like a fertility doctor.
Oh, I keep saying my wife's name is Alicia. She's told me about this. I've not
Yeah,
seen it though.
yeah. He has like 400 kids around Indianapolis. These
Yeah, okay.
women would come in for their fertility and say like, "I want my husband to do it," and he'd be like, "Okay," and then swap it.
Oh.
Yeah, wild move. You should watch it. He literally like 400.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh.
I think I've got at least. Let me see how many more of these I got. All right, yeah, we'll just do one more. A game show set in a delivery room where parents compete to win a college scholarship for their soon-to-be born baby. It's called Labor Games.
What are they answering questions about?
So parents have to answer trivia questions to win prizes like nappies and apparently cleaning services before getting to the jackpot of a college fund. So it's essentially if you're the labor version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Kind of
Let me
sweet.
tell you. Let me tell you, I would go for the cleaning services over the scholar. I'll take care of the scholarship fund. I will take the cleaning services.
Yeah, how often do they come?
That's a good question, man. Because I guess with the college scholarship, I mean, imagine winning this, and then your kid doesn't want to go to college. I mean, do you still get the money?
That's tough. That's a good
Yeah.
question. That's
It's
something
almost
that
like
wasn't
they
thought of.
get born into this, and then you're like, son or daughter, whoever. I know you don't know this, but we want a game show before you were born, and you've got to use this whether you want it or not. I mean, I guess you might as well. Why wouldn't you at least try it out if it's for free, right?
What if they only did like a community college tuition? So like a parent was like, "No, you're not going. You have to go to Ivy Tech. It's paid for."
I would think they would still have access to that money. It doesn't have to go to college, does it? I mean, I don't know
No, but
how
I
any
feel
of
like
this stuff
usually
works.
I feel like, and again, I've never been on a game show, so what do I know? But I feel like in most cases, whenever you go on this kind of stuff, you usually sign a waiver or whatever, and it's like if you win X amount of money, you have to do this with it, or you have to pay this kind of income tax on it. With a scholarship, I feel like it'd be one of those things that you could only use it for what it was meant for. You know what I mean?
Well, I would think my guess would be they would probably just say you don't have access to the full money until the kid is 18 or something
That
along
would
those
be another
lines.
way to do that. That's
Yeah,
another
well,
way, kind of
doesn't it
like
go
a
into like
bond or
a
something.
529B plan or something? Isn't that a college funding
Wow,
That's
now
plan?
we're
or
speaking a different language. I don't know.
I'm gonna look that up. I probably should start learning this stuff.
our financial.
529, yeah, 529 tax advantage savings account designed to be used for a beneficiary's education expenses. Come on now.
Well, there you go. There you
Come
have it.
on
But
now.
what
So yeah,
happens?
those
What
are
happens?
the Oh, go ahead.
But what happens if you put that into a? What if it never gets used? Like what John said? What if a kid doesn't want to go to college? Then can you still use that money? Or is it going to be
Withdrawals
taxed or
from the
That's
something?
why that's a
529
good point.
plan can be taken at any time for any reason. But if the money is not used for qualified education expenses, federal income taxes are due on earnings withdrawn. 10% federal penalty tax and possibly state or local taxes are also added.
Well, there you go. You learn something new every day.
I
That's what Out
did.
of Touch is for. We're here to educate you. Yeah, so those were some of the most obscure game shows that you may or may not have known ever aired. Hopefully, you had a good time with that.
I never heard of any of them.
Yeah, that sounds insane. I'm sure I would love to watch. I'm sure there's YouTube clips of each one of those. Hopefully, but like I won't get into it anymore. But it just some of those are really bizarre. All right, let's go ahead and get into some calls. We got 2 calls to get through again, and this first one I'm going to do. It fits the Out of Touch brand more than any other question we've received so far, and it'll be interesting to hear what comes to this. But I'm going to go ahead and let it roll.
All right, guys, got a good one. The other day at work, we were talking, and in a joking manner, of course, and we were discussing who was our cartoon crush. Who you thought the best looking cartoon was when you were younger, or even now. So, see what your responses are. Have a great day. Podcast is awesome.
There we go. He left his name nameless, but I think I know who it is, and I won't say his name, but I think I know who you are. Maybe we'll talk about it someday. But yeah, cartoon crushes. And when I first heard this voicemail, I don't want to say it came to me immediately, but I sat there and thought, I was like, who did I think? I was like, I wish there was a real life version of this whenever I was a kid. And I immediately thought of one specific character from the show The Fairly Odd Parents, and it was Trixie, the crush of Timmy Turner. Are you guys familiar?
Of course.
Of course you are, right? Who wasn't in love with Trixie?
Now I got to look this up, though. I can't remember
Here's the thing about Trixie, though. The Fairly Odd Parents pulled a fast one on you at one point during that show. They made an episode where he finally got to like fall in love or have her fall back in love with him, but she was so clingy to where she was just ridiculously annoying in that like he didn't like her anymore. So it shows you the flip side of getting, your dream crush or whatever that might be.
Sure.
Yeah, that's the episode where he's allowed to break the rule that you're not allowed to wish for love, right?
Is that what it is? I do remember there being rules, but I guess that was one of them, wasn't it?
Yeah. You're not allowed to change someone else's like love or whatever.
Their attraction for you or something like that.
Yeah, and he wishes for that and it becomes way over the top. Yeah. My sister and I used to watch that show all the time. That and SpongeBob. Dustin, what's yours?
SpongeBob.
I'm curious.
I'm debating here. I'm trying to think if there's any that stood out. Like, I feel like Ariel from Little Mermaid is an easy answer.
It's easy. I like it.
I bet Mitchell's got a good one. He's got a good one up in the noggin. I know he does.
I thought that you guys would say this one already. You guys are sports fans. Space Jam, the bunny, dude.
Lola?
Yeah.
Lola Bunny. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I never saw Space Jam as a kid or even as an adult. I've seen a little bit of the new one, which is blasphemous, I know. Not seeing
Hold
the
on.
original.
You've never seen Space Jam?
That is the God's honest truth. I've never seen Space Jam.
I don't even know how this is possible.
I think that
It is
ends the
possible.
podcast. I don't think we'll
No,
ever
it
make
doesn't.
an episode again.
We're done after 14 episodes.
I'm so out of touch
How?
with historical cartoon sports movies that we have to end the show.
This
What are you
is
talking about?
mind-boggling. It's like your mind's in a bottle.
What are we even? What are you saying?
We were talking about Lola Bunny. I know who you're talking about, but I've never seen the
No,
movie.
you don't.
Yes, I do. It's Bugs Bunny's girlfriend.
But you don't know who I'm talking about. I'm not talking about Lola in the Bugs Bunny show. I'm talking about in Space Jam.
Yep.
Was she turned into a human?
No. But she can dunk, which is sick.
And she can do it all, and she's there for Bugs. He gets, squished, and she runs right over to him. Very supportive of Bugs Bunny in such a tough, trying moment. Game's on the line. She's got to keep her game face on, and then also her boyfriend is near death, getting squished by a monster.
You have to watch this movie. I mean, just what an all-time miss.
I'll take Trixie Tang over Lola Bunny any day.
You might be second guessing yourself after this.
But 8-year-old John, when she's out there dribbling between her legs, crossing over monsters, little different, bro. Her and Michael Jordan, she's like Scottie Pippen. She's the second best player on the team besides Michael Jordan. What are we talking about?
Oh man,
I wish I could think about this longer. We should have started the show.
I've got another example.
Okay,
Misty from the original Pokemon series.
I don't know who that is.
I kind of thought that might miss with one of you two, if not both. But she was
the
the original
too old.
partner for Ash in the first couple of series.
I knew exactly who you were talking about.
Is that a hit?
I know who she is. Yeah.
Okay.
People have like weird things with that kind
with
of
anime characters.
Yeah. Yeah. Not me. Not me. Apparently, I like bunnies. But...
Yeah, apparently you're into anime.
This is one I wish I could laugh, but my face won't move to laugh, which is pretty funny. Yeah, I could. I understand. This is one I want to think about.
That's
I
fine.
do too.
We can move on. We can move on to our next caller, and then we can
All right.
revisit this before we wrap things up if we want to. But
All right.
there you go. All right. As we mentioned earlier, our friend Indie Hater 1, or I guess I should say Dr. Indie Hater 1, has left us another message. And I think he's wanting some advice here. Let's see what he has to say.
So, hey guys, it's Indy Hater 1 here. I'm just coming through Louisville in the next couple of weeks, and I can't wait to eat at my favorite fast food restaurant, which is, of course, Skyline Chili. I was just wondering if you guys could give me your thoughts on, do you like it? Do you hate it? And also, while you're on that can sometimes be a quick debate where everyone hates it, but I wanted to get your guys' thought. Is the hot dog a sandwich or not? And I've just recently been doing some research, and certain people are calling it a taco. So sandwich, taco, something all its own. Love to hear your thoughts, but y'all have a great week. It's Indy Hater 1 here, if I didn't say that at the beginning. Thanks a lot. Y'all have a great day. Bye.
Love it. That's what we do here. We answer the world's most hard-hitting questions here on Out of Touch. Is Skyline Chili good, and is a hot dog a sandwich?
I think we've actually talked about Skyline Chili before. I hate it.
When we talked about chili and cinnamon rolls, I remember that. I've never seen Space Jam. I've never had Skyline Chili, but I don't want to have Skyline Chili. It looks gross.
Wrong. Skyline Chili is bomb.
I thought Mitchell loved it.
Yeah. I love it. You feel terrible for, I think, a month after you eat it, maybe longer. Put the little chili cheese dogs, chili 3-ways. Yes. I've been there 20, 30, 100 times, and I'd do it again. This is delicious.
All right, so what do you like? I've heard that it's really sweet. Is that what the driving factor is?
Yeah, it's sweet. There's so much cheese. It just is. It's a perfect blend until it isn't, which is about 10 minutes after you finish. But it's really.
Kind of has that White Castle effect.
It's like the Thunder Cookies at White Castle.
It's Thunder Cookies. It's kind of like more of a sauce than a chili. Would you agree with that, Mitchell?
Yes. Yeah, it's just mush is what it is.
Yeah.
It's not like
you're making it sound so delicious.
It is. Try it. I wish I had it here today. We had chili for dinner, and that chili was really good. That is not the chili you're picturing. If you've never been there, is not what you're gonna get on your hot dog. It's more just like a little dirt, kind of little sand, mud. Pretty good. I think there used to be sand in there or something. I think that was something that happened. I think they got sued for that. They're putting sand.
Put sand in their chili. Ugh.
Sand in the chili.
Man.
I'd still eat it. I do still eat it. And the obvious answer is a taco. I'm very happy that he said that. But then you could say, is a taco a sandwich? I don't know. I think it's a taco. I'm sticking with it.
I think a hot dog is its own thing.
I was going to say the same thing. I don't feel like it has to be a sandwich or a taco.
Because a taco is its own thing, and I just had gyros the other day. A gyro is its own thing, but it's kind of got the same concept. You got that pita shell, pita bread, whatever you call it, and then all the meat. Gyros? Oh, God, yes.
No.
Fantastic. Not a gyro fan?
No.
For those of you who may not know what he's talking about, some of you may pronounce these as gyros, as I used to.
Uncultured swine.
I mean, I know better now.
I'm just kidding.
I want to go out for a gyro.
I can't get over they're putting lambs in there, dude. Those things are they're
delicious.
Brand new. Brand spanking new to the world. You're just chopping them up.
Ugh, yeah.
I mean, they're going to do it anyway, so I might as well enjoy it if it tastes good, right?
I like that.
Have you ever seen those videos of like baby chicks getting chopped up by like a processor or something?
I have not.
It's very inhumane.
I need
and
to
disturbing
not talk
watch.
about this or think about this because I do eat all of these things as well. And the only way that I do it is by not thinking about how it got there. I had that happen to me with lamb and it got to me. Like I can't.
Ugh.
Fair.
And I can't have that happen to anything else or else I'll be eating sticks. And I don't want to be eating sticks.
All right, before
gonna
we
be
wrap
vegetarian.
things up, remember the hotline number if you want to leave us a message, 502-830-9195. Leave us whatever you want. I'm thankful for everybody who's called in so far, and we'll keep doing this as long as people keep calling in, so keep it up. And do we want to answer, for those, do you two want to answer the Cartoon Crush question now that we've let some time pass?
I looked up, this is a weird thing to Google, so the government, when they're tracking me, is going to be thinking weird of me.
Isn't it weird when you do stuff like that?
Hottest cartoon characters. And the first one is Robin Hood from the animated Robin Hood, which is, Shigo from Kid Possible.
Is that the chick with the black hair and like
Hey.
the green lipstick or whatever it is?
That is the one.
So here's what I Googled was this popped up as 50 iconic female cartoon characters. Number 1 is Wonder Woman. Ariel is 3. This was an upset. Mitchell, Lola Bunny, number 6. She's pretty high up there.
I told you.
I'm trying to see if there's anybody on this list that I should mention that I just completely forgot of. Like, I feel like if I went through and kind of thought about it, Lisa Simpson, number 12. Well, I guess this is iconic. Oh, Daphne from Scooby-Doo.
Who?
Daphne from
Daphne.
Scooby-Doo. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. This one
I
has
low-key thought Velma was a better Cartoon Crush from Scooby-Doo.
Velma's way higher on this list that I'm looking at than Daphne. This list also has Buzz Lightyear as number 5, though. So I should take it.
Number 5 is of hot cartoon characters is Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, Buzz Lightyear. There's also Shadow the Hedgehog from Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh,
So I'm not sure this
Stop
list can be
laughing
taken
at all
very
of these.
seriously. Yeah.
Shout out to whoever
Was
sent
there-
that question. That was a good one.
yeah. So was there a? So let's do the reverse of this. Was there like a cartoon character guy that you idolized, like you wanted to be him
jealous
growing up?
of?
Well, I don't know if jealous is the right word, but you're like, I just want to, like, okay, so this is obviously I dressed up as Indiana Jones for Halloween
Yeah.
because I wanted to be Indiana Jones after watching the movies all the time. But now, is there a cartoon character who also fits that description?
Man.
I don't have an answer. I'm just asking.
I have 2 people that pop in my head, and I don't know if they necessarily qualify, but are funny to me. Johnny Bravo and Dexter.
I thought of him too.
Dexter from Dexter's Lab, too.
Oh, yeah.
Gadgets. I thought that was really cool.
Like with the Johnny Bravo thing, I never wanted to be him, but he was like, that's the kind of character he was. He tried to play that up like he was this super cool dude.
Yeah, he's probably the dumbest character in cartoon history.
What's up? Hey, mama.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Something that he says.
That was really good. That was really good.
That's
I wish I had a
man,
line
I'm
in front
pretty.
of me. I'd keep going.
It's so good.
What about when we try to do a Dexter impression? This might be terrible, and it might be a good way to end the show, but this is a Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory. That was probably really bad, wasn't it?
That was
I don't
better
think
than
that was-
whatever I was gonna say.
Yeah, that was better than what I expected.
What was his dog's name? Didn't he have a dog? Or
I
a
know.
robot or something? I don't know.
Yes. Oh man. His enemy was Mandark, which is just a hilarious name. Mandark and Dee Dee was his sister.
Oh yeah, Dee Dee and Dexter. There we go.
And there was also the monkey. You remember that? He was like a superhero
I don't-
monkey.
I don't remember the monkey.
I wish I had a good answer. I don't know who I wanted. You know who else was really cool was Danny Phantom. He was somebody that was pretty cool, and he was a ghost too. He could go through, or he could turn into a ghost, I should say.
Danny Phantom was cool.
All right. I think it's about that time. Good show, guys. We'll do it again same time next week. Or, it'll release the same time next week. I don't know if we'll record same time next week, but you get the gist. We're here, we'll be doing this again, and hopefully again. Oh, one more reminder too. Subscribe to the channel. Get us to 100 by the end of the year. We'll do a live stream beginning of January, and it'll be a good time. So for Dustin Schutte, Mitchell Page, hopefully your mouth feels better, man, by the time we do this again. And hopefully
That'll be
sooner.
a problem.
But until then, we'll talk to you next time. Thanks for listening.